Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Historical Humans Reacts. And today we are going back to my homeland. We are talking about Scotland and how you can now get your hands on the world's oldest tartan design.
Yep.
I mean, not actually, but like,
Close enough ish.
Yeah.
It's the oldest surviving tartan design.
Yep.
but you can't actually get this one. Like, you can't get that one
You,
specifically.
you you can get this design, which is the point. So this is a Glen Afric tartan, which was buried in a peat bog for over 500 years.
As the way the ancestors would have wanted.
Yeah. It was discovered in the 1980s, so about 40 years ago,
Damn.
and just this year, um, they have been able to successfully recreate it. Um, and you can now actually wear a actual tartan design from the time of the Scottish tribes when these designs were used to differentiate between political identities among the various clans of the Highlands.
Well, and it's really interesting too the ways in which they went about actually discerning this and figuring it out. One, they were able to radiocarbon date it because it's cloth. It contains carbon, so they were able to date it, just how they got the accurate date. And then two, one of the ways they were able to discern the colors and the dyes that were there was they did a dye analysis, which sounds vaguely familiar to dialysis, but it's very different. Trust me. And one of the things they were able to do is figure out what dyes they used for each one of these designs. I mean, you can quite easily see the design of the lines on the cloth, but the other colors and the other stripes are not as discernible. But they did some testing, and on the 21 by 17-inch wool fabric, they were able to figure it out and thus replicate it, which is huge. And then some very entrepreneurial spirit decided, hey, what if we market this to a modern audience? And to those who would think that this process was easy, it's not. Because the crisscross pattern and the thread count and colors needed to be deciphered. And
Yep.
that testing process took more than 6 months, which was conducted by the National Museums of Scotland, which
Yep.
confirmed the use of the colors green, red, yellow, and brown, which were drawn from organic materials such as woad and madder. And woad is an
Whoa,
herb.
woad is a term I ain't heard in a bit.
I love woad. I learned about it playing an old video game called RuneScape, and it's never been the same since.
You in RuneScape.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that was interesting and kind of made it a little bit more difficult to work with is that this tartan design is not symmetrical. Uh, it is, most modern tartan designs are perfectly symmetrical because we have the technology for that, and this one wasn't, which means that like counting it out thread by thread that led to a lot of discrepancies from one piece of the cloth to the other that had to be sorted out into what could be considered an accurate rendition of what was going on here.
Well, and they eventually decided to boil it down to asymmetrical design, just to make it easier. But you got to remember these were woven out of singular threads that were dyed in these materials and created just using weaving materials, and it's truly impressive.
Yeah, these were made by hand on a loom.
Yeah, like
So like,
not
of course
easy.
they're asymmetrical. It just that causes so many problems for us trying to recreate it because symmetry is easy. You measure once and then repeat.
Well, and it's one of the things that I think is truly a lost art, especially after the age of automation and especially in the age of industrialization, in that these machines and these computers make everything so perfect. They make it meticulously perfect down to thousandth of an inch or within however much tolerance you program into the system. these old cloths, especially historic ones, made by hand, made out of skill, love, and passion, and it just I don't think it quite compares, honestly. I don't think they make it quite like they used to.
The most boomer thing I've heard you say.
Is
Yeah.
that really, Aaron? Is that the most boomer
They
you've
don't
ever
make
heard?
them like they used to.
Back in my
That kind
day.
of that kind of is like from like the stock phrase cards of the boomers, I will admit. Uh, but one of the things that's very interesting about this tartan is how it was preserved. So it was preserved in a bog, which
In the
for
Valley of?
most bogs that would destroy any sort of organic material like cloth within 100 or so years. However, peat bogs, which is the type of bog this happened to fall into, are acidic and almost completely deprived of oxygen, meaning there was nothing to really react with the cloth to melt it.
God, I love a good peat bog. I love them so
Oh,
much.
well, and we could talk about the topic of bog bodies at a different point, but the preservation environment is really great, even though they retain a lot of moisture. And one of the things that really helped with the preservation of this is the fact that it prevented other microbes from growing that would eventually decompose this.
Yeah,
And it
it it didn't lose its color. It didn't get torn apart or burned away. It just
sat there.
sat there. Yeah,
The other thing that I find to be really fascinating is they translated this design and officially registered it with the Scottish Tartans Authority, which is a register of tartan designs, so everyone can have their own unique one. Like you said, every single person has it.
yeah. Yeah, these because tartans were originally a means to identify political affiliations. Your pattern determined what sort of clan you were typically associated with, and also where you could and couldn't go safely.
And I know we highlighted the preservation style of the peat bogs and how important it is, but to have a piece of cloth survive this long in the historic record is truly nothing shy of a miracle. We do not see cloth samples last that long, and to have something as large and as complete as we do here, granted we don't know its original size, we don't know what happened to it, but the fact that any portion of it has survived this long is blatantly a miracle. But I think that's actually a good point for us to wrap up on today's episode. Thank you guys for watching, and if there's a topic you'd like to see us cover, let us know down below. And let us know what your family's tartan design was. I'm going to have to figure mine out. But we'll see you in the next video. Peace.